begin with President Biden's trip overseas to Western Europe.
This comes as the U.S. and its allies seek to present a united front against Russia nearly a month after the Kremlin invaded Ukraine. Mr. Biden left for Brussels today. He will meet with NATO and members of the G7 and the European Union. The president will also visit Poland, where more than 2 million Ukrainian refugees have fled since the start of the conflict. Joining us now from Brussels, CBS News senior White House and political correspondent Ed O'Keefe. Ed, great to see you. Can you tell us?
Great to see you guys.
We know that part of the president's role here, obviously, is just going to be the general one of cheerleader. But beyond that, what more can you tell us about the objectives of the president's trip?
Sure. Well, as you mentioned, 3 big meetings that he will hold on Thursday here in Brussels with NATO, the EU, and the G7, all of them designed to talk about the military, the economic, the societal or humanitarian response that needs to continue and could very well have to continue for years here across Europe as the crisis continues in Ukraine. The meetings with NATO especially will probably focus a bit on potential military deployments of more American and NATO forces into Eastern Europe. With the G7 and the EU, there will be conversations about sanctions. The White House saying that there are going to be more of them announced at the meetings and that they're going to talk a bit more about the tougher enforcement that they're going to try to apply, the ones already announced, to ensure that those that are being targeted are not evading the punishments. And beyond that, expect a little bit of conversation from the president about how Europe can reduce its reliance on Russian oil and natural gas as it seeks alternative energy options around the world. That obviously has been a big sticking point throughout all of this. But mostly, Jim, as you said, this is designed to put the president in the same room, face to face with people he has spent several hours over the course of the last several months talking to on a virtual basis. This is a president who has said he's eager to return to face-to-face diplomacy as the pandemic ebbs. And so this will be a chance for him to catch up with these people again that he's seen mostly through video screens or spoken with by telephone.
So Ed, when exactly is the president heading to Poland, and who will he meet with while he's there? And also, has that question of the MiGs that Poland wanted to send to Ukraine, has that been settled?
It hasn't necessarily, other than the U.S. has said that the way it was originally proposed is impractical or not necessarily something that can be carried out without provoking Russia in a bigger way. The president heads to Warsaw on Friday. He will meet Saturday with the Polish president. He's expected to give a major formal address about how the free world is responding to the crisis in Ukraine and how democracies certainly are helping Ukraine, democracies from across the world. The White House hasn't officially announced this, but we anticipate that he will meet with refugees who have streamed into Poland over the last several weeks. About 2 million of them are being absorbed by Poland. And as the Polish government has pointed out, they're not sitting in refugee centers, they're not sitting in hostels, they're not sitting in stadiums. They're being processed into Polish society, found housing, jobs, education for the children. And if they don't stay in Poland and they're heading elsewhere in Europe, the Polish government's helping with that. So it's a big thank you by the president to a country that obviously is absorbing the humanitarian crisis, but also, of course, sits there on the front lines should Russia decide to expand its military campaign.
Absolutely. Ed O'Keefe in Brussels, thanks so much. We'll continue to check in with you during the president's trip. We appreciate it.